This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
Vacation rental hosts can make or break a vacation. Luckily, Vrbo makes it easy to find the ones who make it stress-free. Vrbo's Premier Hosts badge highlights vacation rental hosts with top-tier listings. The ones with excellent guest experience reviews, 0 cancellations, and strong ratings across the board. For trip planners who want to be hosted, not ghosted, choose Premier Hosts. Book today on the Vrbo app. If you know, you Vrbo.
And now, a special edition of the Toddcast podcast.
Powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
All right, welcome to it. Back by popular demand, you've told us through the downloads alone. Factor in the chirping online, and you love these Over the Years podcasts. Highlights from key moments and guests in music, sports, entertainment, lifestyle. And quite honestly, I have to agree with you. As much as this style of podcast is harder to put together than our normal, quote-unquote, normal 3 guests per episode podcast, there's something about hearing from some key guests and their stories. Like this week, we have a former UFC champ, love MMA, so we're always trying to talk to someone in the fight game. You'll hear parts of our conversation with the fastest woman alive, a retired NHL goaltender who happens to be my favorite ever. How cool is it that he came through and was hanging out in the podcast studio for his visit? You'll hear from an NHRA drag racer. She is simply the best, one of the best all time. What else? There's an actor from Sons of Anarchy on this episode, one of Canada's best comedy trios or troops, whatever you want to call it. You see her on ET Canada, HDTV as well, and an alumni of the Real Housewives of Dallas. And you'll hear from this week's musical guests in just a second. My name is Todd Hancock. Thank you for being there, along for the ride, and a great week planned for you. It's not just the guests and their highlights, but you will hear from some of Vancouver's best indie bands. 5 songs will be splattered throughout this week's podcast. And coming up shortly, in Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, UFC bantamweight Raquel Pennington talks about breaking her leg, getting nerve damage, coming back from that, the fight, the struggle that was. That is powered by FKP MMA. Learn self-defense, build your self-esteem, prepare yourself for the unknown. There's something to be said about being able to protect yourself and those around you. My youngest, Levi, goes a couple times a week. He's into his 3rd year now and absolutely loves it. Talking about having a UFC fighter on the podcast this week, FKP trains UFC heavyweight Caio Bigfoot Machado easily. Vancouver's #1 training destination through fkpmma.com. First, let's get to those musical guests from over the years and some of their highlights, all of whom are powered by Hawkins Sound Ranch. Get over 20 years experience. They have a state-of-the-art studio, absolutely top-notch at all angles. Commercial sound on an indie budget. Corey, the owner, was in a Vancouver band called the Ghost of Blood Alley. Cool band. I mean, it was super unique to the city scene. I played those guys on CFOX's Indie Night in Canada when I was that station's indie music director, so you'll be working with someone who gets it. Check them out through the HawkinsSoundRanch.com. So it's fair to say, I think you would agree that Godsmack is a monstrous rock band. Multiple #1 albums on the Billboard 200, 25 top 10 hits, 18 have gone top 5, 12 have gone #1. They sold over 20 million albums worldwide. Fair to say that they hit their stride a while back, right? And when their singer Sully Erna was a guest, I got him to answer an impossible question. Give us your top 5 bands of all time.
Yeah, for sure. Like, Pink Floyd is definitely one of them. Zeppelin, Rush, as far as rock bands go. bands like that, I would think. But there's other bands, too, that I listen to pretty frequently, like Dead Can Dance. I was very influenced by. They're the ones who kind of inspired songs like Voodoo and Serenity and stuff like that. So,
I mean, I guess, like Metallica for sure for me. Beatles, Zeppelin, Nickelback probably. So I guess the first four is pretty easy. It's the fifth one for me that's a tricky one. It's Godsmack Day in Boston on August 6th. That's an interesting thing about this band, or at least tied to the band. Like, imagine having your own day in your hometown. I think I've talked to Sully about 5 or 6 times over the years, a couple times on this podcast. The remaining at CFox 99.3 The Fox here in Vancouver, I did their afternoon show for about 12 years, and also a show called the 6 o'clock Rock Report, and that's where I would talk to Sully. It's a music news show, live performances, that sort of thing, for an hour weekdays from 6 till 7. And it's cool, right? I mean, to go beyond what people are known for. Like Sully talked about binge watching The Sopranos and Entourage. He shared a story of meeting Rush's drummer. We talked about superpowers, his love of Deadpool, the movie Hancock, which is a great movie. We talked about their documentary, how he was influenced early on by Aerosmith and Boston and Zeppelin, and aliens. We talked aliens visiting Earth, or even living among us.
Dude, not only visited, man, I am such a strong believer in whole extraterrestrial technology and life on other planets and stuff like that. I'm actually really good friends with Stephen Greer, who released the documentaries Serious Disclosure and Unacknowledged, and I am way, way into that stuff, man. And I am not only a true believer, but I really believe that in the next 5 to 6 years that I think we're going to have some exposure, some real exposure. And, I know that they're working on things right now that are going to trap the government into forcing them to expose all the stuff that they have. And if they don't, they're going to release it anyways, because there's way too many people now that have worked for the government, even up to like 5-star generals and, people that aren't crackpots. They're like legit people, and they're coming clean with it. And they're just like, listen, this is holding back the human race. This is holding back how we're going to advance. And you guys need to release this technology and stuff because the people are ready for it. And, they're claiming that like, oh, the people can't handle it. But everyone else is saying like, we'll be fine. Like, and if this stuff gets exposed, it could project us 100 years into the future. And so it's one of those things that's very hard for people to believe, and if you're not in tune with it, I can understand why people may think you're a crackpot. I think it's just like too out there to believe, but I truly believe it exists, and I've seen enough to convince me that there's no way it doesn't exist, and it's pretty ignorant to think that we're the only little speck in this universe, and we don't even know how many universes there are to think that it has life form on it.
I've had enough people answer that question with, dude, not only have they visited, but they're probably living among us present day, like right now.
For sure. Yep. Yeah. I believe it, man.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of stuff exposed, and I think when it comes out, it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Religion, that goes right out the window.
Totally right. From Godsmack singer to a 15-time Grammy Award nominee, Joe Satriani. He is the biggest selling instrumental rock guitarist of all time. Over 10 million albums sold. And how cool to talk with Joe about music and his first concert story. He shared a fantastic story about playing guitar for Mick Jagger's solo tour and how he taught guitar lessons to Steve Vai. Like, here's another virtuoso, and Metallica's lead guitarist Kirk Hammett.
I know. I often tell people I was the luckiest guitar teacher in the world because I had this steady stream of very dedicated, extremely talented students. I knew Steve when he was 12 years old, so right. It's really great to see true virtuoso talent at such a young age. It's very exciting, and so the teaching was always a lot of fun.
Right, and they had that right from the get-go. Like, those guys.
They really did, yeah. And that, like, if you mentioned Steve and Kirk, they're so different. They're different generations. They have different tastes in music. They have everything about them is totally different. Yet what they shared in common was a love of music, totally dedicated to practicing and being the best they could be, and seeing their music, their idea of what cool music should be, unadulterated, and they just focused on it. And now, luckily, we have the world of Steve Vai, and we have Kirk Hammett and Metallica as proof of their tenacity.
Right? Like giving guitar lessons to absolute beasts. Of course, you will also know Joe as the guitarist in Chickenfoot, the band that's made up of Van Halen singer and bassist Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony, Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer Chad Smith, and of course, Joe Satriani. Supergroup much? Got him talking about the difference of that, playing solo versus playing with the boys in Chickenfoot.
Oh, wow. Well, the obvious thing is when you've got a true lead singer like Sammy Hagar running around going crazy, that is, you just have to make room for that, and I got to say, even when playing with Mike, who's an amazing bass player, and a fantastic onstage personality, and Chad, who is the same thing. He's like, they're more than just musicians, those guys. They've got outsized personalities, and just the fact that we know that Chickenfoot is sort of like a party, it's not like we're a band that was put together by a record company or something, so it's not work at all. We get together, like this year, we'll probably play 2 shows, that's it. So there's a sort of sense of total reckless abandon when we hit the stage, and that's difficult to replicate in any other way. And you can just go up there and just flail away and have the best time ever. And because I don't have to play the melodies, I'm a bit more relaxed. But when I'm doing my solo thing, those melodies are so important, and they're very difficult to play. And my fans have got some strong emotional attachment to those melodies for each song. So it's a little bit, I have to handle everything with more of that kid gloves attitude. You just have to be very careful with this stuff. You can't just party it out, From a straight-up guitar virtuoso to one of the most successful singer-songwriters of the late 80s, early 90s, you will know Melissa Etheridge from bursting onto the scene in 88. And within 5 years, she'd won a Grammy Award for Best Rock Vocal Performance and another Grammy for Come to My Window. So to have a multiple Grammy Award winner on the cast and being able to really dig in, you'll hear her talking about her first concert. She shared a near-death story, the superpower that she'd want. We talked about the U.S. and marijuana, how Bruce Springsteen factors into the toughest career decision that she's had to make. And what was the music like in her house as a kid growing up? How did that influence the path that she's taken?
My parents had quite a great record collection. They listened to the Mamas and Papas, the Beatles, Paul Simon and Garfunkel, Aretha Franklin, Johnny Mathis, Peggy Lee. It went into kind of soul and R&B and easy listening. The great singer-songwriters. My dad loved Neil Diamond, and so I had quite a range. And then I have an older sister who was listening to the crazy, like Humble Pie and Led Zeppelin. So I had a lot. As I was in my formative years, I had quite a cool collection of music to really get into.
Don't you love finding out about that sort of stuff? Like, which bands did your parents play when you were just a kid? In some cases, I guess, didn't play. It is odd to think of that, some people don't have music playing at some point in their day-to-day lives. I think it's crazy. Wouldn't you just go nuts without music? Like, I would. So it's cool to hear Melissa talking about that time in her life growing up as a kid, the musical influence. And of course, she sold millions of albums. If you didn't know, she has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, got that back in 2011. And through all of those accolades that I just told you about, the Grammy Award wins, the sold-out world tours, the millions sold, the #1 songs, Melissa talked about when she realized she may be a rock star.
Oh, wow. That still happens to me sometimes, because one can't feel like a rock star all the time, even though I certainly try. Mm-hmm. I would have to say probably I had the opportunity, my first record, to perform on the Grammys. It's really difficult thing now to do, and I was really fortunate to be able to perform in 1988 my whole entire song all by myself. I didn't sing with anybody else. I just sang Bring Me Some Water. And at that moment, I really felt like a rock star. And I had been pretty obscure up to then. It was really amazing. I got the category is no longer a category anymore. It was Best Rock Female Performance. And I was able to get in that and perform. So I got a really big break, and that probably was the first time I felt like, this rock star thing might be actually happening.
And from a multiple Grammy Award winner to one of the most successful female-fronted rock bands of all time, Halestorm. Now, here's a band from small town Pennsylvania. I think the place they grew up had like 6,000 people or something like that. Released their debut in 2009, 15 years together, which is crazy to think. Like, if you follow the band, it does not feel like 15 years. So it's the same as Melissa Etheridge. A few years after their debut, Halestorm won a Grammy Award for their song Love Bites for the best hard rock metal performance. Their albums consistently reach top 10 in the Billboard 200. It's very impressive. An absolutely crushing live band. I think they play close to a couple hundred shows a year, or certainly have hit that number many times in their career. And when their singer Lizzie Hale was last on the podcast, she shared a great story of meeting and fangirling over a couple of her rock heroes.
First one really was Tom Keeper from Cinderella, the first time that we met. I had to talk to him on the phone before we met, which was even more nerve-wracking.
Right. And how cool is it that he's still doing stuff too, right? Like, how cool is that?
Oh, dude, yeah. He's still bringing the house down. His voice sounds great.
He's awesome.
But yeah, the first time we ever talked, I didn't know he knew who I was, and we were planning on playing a fair gig together, like down the road, and so I was kind of like nervous about that. But I'm like, we have months to go, and apparently his guitar player and my guitar player were in cahoots because they had met a guitar player at Guitar Center, and then he ends up giving Tom Keeper my number, and so we're in Alaska of all places playing a show. And my guitar player comes up. He's like, Tom Keeper's going to call you in 5 minutes. So just in case you got to,
okay,
prepare yourself. I'm like, what? Excuse me? So long story short, now we're really good friends. I hang out with him and his wife and his kid and all that stuff. We all live in Nashville. But, man, stepping on stage with that guy, he's the only one that can out-stare me in a staring contest on stage. It was just incredible because you're just like, okay, this is the guy that this is the reason I sing the way I do. This is the reason I play guitar now. This is crazy. So between Tom and then when I met Joan Jett, I was a little at a loss for words. I had a face palm moment because I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna I'm cool, right? I can hang out. So I'm hanging out, and all I could think to say to her, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, really hot out. I'm talking about the weather.
Right.
What am I doing? So luckily later on, after we broke the ice, everything was cool. But that was the first thing I'd say to her. I'm like, what am I doing?
Love it.
But she watched our set and it was awesome.
You hear people say don't meet your heroes. I think that's nuts. So what? They act like a dickhead to you? Good. At least you know now where they stand and where they really are, and you can act accordingly. I don't know. I've never met anyone who I admired, respected, or idolized, or however you want to put it, however you want to say it, and regretted meeting them. Not once. Meet your heroes. They're your heroes for a reason. And chances are they want to meet you as well. I think I've talked with Lizzie about 6 times over the years. The last time we talked about 50 Cent and Kanye West. Aliens came up. So did the idea of having a soulmate. We talked about keeping up with social media and the pressures of that. We talked about the Motley Crue movie, your celebrity lookalike. And since Lizzie's been in so many countries, touring with her band, traveling the world, she talked about the places that have surprised her, good or bad.
When we played in, the first time we ever played Prague, it was this tiny club. The PA system wasn't that great. The stage was tiny. We kind of walked in thinking, I don't know, man. We've never played Prague, but I don't know how this is going to be. And it was one of the most absolute high energy punk rock shows
Nice.
that I think we've ever played. Same thing. And fast forward a little bit, we played Paris shortly after the Bataclan attack, and
Right.
we were expecting. I don't know what we were expecting, but we weren't expecting it to be so incredibly joyful and triumphant. I think we were expecting everything to be a little bit more subdued. Maybe less people come out to the show, because not that it would really happen at that place again, but one of those things where people were being cautious about going out to the shows.
Right.
And we have video of the crowd was moving so hard that the soundboard was shaking.
Come on.
Back and forth.
Wow.
And so we have video of that happening. We're like, okay, obviously these kids are not afraid to come out to the rock show.
Wow.
It's great. So yeah, like little moments like that happen every so often. Like you're just not quite sure what to expect, and then everybody just proves you wrong.
Toddcast Podcast musical guest visits are powered by the Hawkins Sound Ranch. Use their 20-plus years of experience to record at their state-of-the-art studio. Commercial sound on an indie budget. Visit thehawkinssoundranch.com for more. And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast Podcast.
You'll know MMA fighter Raquel Pennington, Rocky, as the UFC's newly crowned bantamweight champ. A record of 16-8, a 6-fight win streak, and you just got to watch her fights. She's ready for all comers and is one of the best in and out of the octagon. Raquel jumped a Zoom with us last year, and at the time, we talked about the hunt for the title, the grind and the discipline, the sacrifice that's needed to make it all come together. You can see the full video video at Toddcast YouTube. She talks about how the women's fighting game has changed over the years. Talked about seeing NSYNC in concert, COVID and a mental reset and focus on family. We talked about the shows that we were both binge watching at the time, sports she played as a kid, basketball, softball, volleyball, running cross country. We talked about cheat foods, watching tape of opponents, and stop me if you've heard this before. Raquel shared the story of breaking her leg, getting nerve damage, and continuing to fight in MMA.
One of my worst injuries was actually before I fought Amanda, and I ended up breaking my leg and sustaining the nerve damage that I did. I barely avoided amputation, so life could have really changed there. And,
wow.
you know, I mean, I can't feel half of my leg.
No.
Yeah, so it's like an interesting feeling, but like when it initially happened, I was already in an 18-month layoff, had major surgeries after the Miesha Tate fight, and then they offered me the biggest fight of my career for the world title. And it was like, you know, I came back and then all of a sudden I ended up in that accident and I just pushed myself. And, you know, I mean, I fought through a broken hand. My last fight, I busted my hand and kept going. And, you know, I've done things, but this one was just one of a kind. And when Amanda kicked it in that first round, like, I was like, oh, something is really wrong. And I've never felt pain to that degree. So like, I really had to slow down and learn how to function with that. We had to get like the nerve conduction test. We had to do all kinds of stuff to my leg. I like lived in physical therapy. And it was just like, all right, like I need to take this thing like really serious and figure it out. And, you know, they were worried about like drop foot, compartment syndrome in my leg. Like there were so many things. My calf was like rolled up and they were like, if your calf is torn, like there's nothing we can do. We can't go back in there and sew it because that would basically be like trying to sew hamburger meat together. It doesn't work. And so like, yeah, I like that injury was a rough one to try to come back from and like just trying to get like everything back. And, you know, I mean, with my leg tightening up, it created lower back issues. And so needless to say, all the stuff I've been doing since I was 5, I always joke with Tisha, I'm like, are you sure you want to like do this life with me? Because when I'm like, I'm 33, but she sees me on my time off and I'm just like a little old viejita. Like I'm griping and complaining. Everything hurts. And I'm like, you sure you're going to want to do this? Because you're probably going to have to like wipe my ass at 60. Like,
rough on the body, right?
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com. And now, highlighting our next Blue Light Sessions, powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit canadianclub.com today.
It just don't fit in this whole wide world. Looks like a finger pointing at me. Might as well be raping the whole wide world. Don't fucking touch me.
based on that song, it is going to be an absolutely crushing night with Kat Madden. That's her relatively new song called Don't Touch Me. Got her playing a podcast show at the end of the month on Friday, April 26th at the Blue Light Studio. Toddcast Podcast Blue Light Sessions with not only Kat Madden, but Summer's brother is going to be there as well. Expect a unique night if you make it out. So each band gets a 45-minute set. I will interview the bands. You get to ask questions as well while they perform, while it's happening. It's super, super fun. And it's a steal at only $20 through eventbrite.ca. If you wait for the door, it's $25. The doors open at 7 o'clock. The show starts at around 8-ish, 8:15, sometimes gets to 8:30, something like that. I played you a new song for Johnny Rath, and that's called Pity. And I put out a call on Facebook to Vancouver indie rock bands to send me their latest song as an MP3, and so that I was adding new music to BCIT's campus radio station, Evolution 107.9, which I help program. And the guys in Johnny Rath hit me with an email saying that, hey, look, we're working on a new album. It's not done yet, but we do have some songs that are completed, and Pity is one of them. Big fan of this band. They've played a podcast show in the past with us. Remember when we were doing those shows at the Railway, downtown Vancouver? Just an iconic venue in our city. And what a shame to see that one shut down, but nothing happening there anymore. But it's great to hear that Johnny Rath is in studio working on new music. All right, coming up in just a few minutes in Listen to This, Ben Harper talks about how music still drives him today just as much as ever before. That is powered by our great friends at Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. RV service and repairs, they are ICBC accredited. 8-year sponsors, absolutely key to why we've been able to continue to make podcasts over the years. Big love to Tamara and her crew. You can find them online, kicking around on Facebook and on Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. Of course, you can also check out their shop as well. First, let's get back to more guest highlights in this Over the Years podcast and some sporting guest visits, all of whom are powered by Hand Over Hand Textiles in Vancouver. Naturally dyed goods for your home, for your body. Talking t-shirts and underwear and bandanas, socks, dishcloths, shirts, scarves, pillows, pretty much whatever you want them to make, they'll make. You'll love their work as well. Top notch. All of this stuff is done by hand. Handmade. And they only use pure plant extracts, natural fibers. Mother Earth is a total fan, fangirling over this company. Locally owned, locally operated. Find them through handoverhandtextiles.com, and they're also on Instagram. So MMA fight fans will know Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling as the former champ of the UFC's bantamweight division. Black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Matt Serra. He's ranked number 2 in the bantamweight division, number 15 in the overall pound-for-pound ranking. Aljamain's been fighting professionally since 2011. Started off in Cage Fury Fighting Championships, where he won and defended the bantamweight championship, and then he, of course, moved on to the UFC. And when he was a guest, Aljamain talked about what still stands out about his first pro fight.
Yeah, it was, right after wrestling season, I lost the first match of the tournament. I was a 3 seed in the tournament and lost to a guy I was supposed to kind of run through, and I lost by a point. I ended up having to wrestle all the way back and against 2 returning All-Americans, 1 national qualifier, and I managed to get back on the podium, so I ended up being a 2-time All-American, and that was pretty much the start. After that, I was ready in shape, and I said, you know what? Let's not lose any of this momentum and any of the progress we've made in terms of cardio and conditioning, and we just went straight out into it. I think about a month later, I had my first pro fight, and from there, I was just like, this is it. We're making the jump, and here I am today.
Interesting to note that Aljamain excelled at wrestling as a kid, so it wasn't a stretch for him to move to MMA, kind of a natural progression, I guess. And loved getting into other things about his life as well, like reading comic books as a kid, talked about superpowers, legalized marijuana. He shared a story about going to dance hall shows in Jamaica, who he thinks is the best fighters of all time. We talked about aliens, binge-watching Billions, and Aljamain shared a near-death story as well.
Oh, yeah. Man, I was actually talking about this the other day. The main one, I mean, there's been some shootouts and stuff like that, but I think I I don't want to say far enough from the action, but because I guess bullets don't have names on them, is what we used to say growing up. I've been to a couple parties, but I would like to think that being on the other side of the room might have protected me because a lot of people were in front of me. But I've actually had experiences. What's it called? The Adirondack, the high peaks. I remember one time the professor that was with us in our group, they're not like supposed to intervene with us. They're supposed to just be the supervisor and make sure everything is okay. But we had a girl that ended up spraining her ankle trying to do what all the boys were doing and trying to climb the mountains and the high peaks as fast as we were doing it. And she ended up hurting herself. Long story short, the professor kind of disappeared in the middle of the night, and then the next day we were in the high peaks. And mind you, when we're in there, we had to take a backpack. This is part of our curriculum for physical education towards your senior year. I guess it's kind of smart to wait till you're a senior to have kids doing stuff like this on their own. And you pack your backpacks with all the equipment and things, food, and amount of stuff that you feel you're going to need in order to survive that 1 week in the wilderness.
Wow.
And everyone's got to take something, So if you don't bring enough food or water or stuff to help iodine for the water, then you're pretty much going to have some near starving or things like that. It's just pretty survival of it's like a competition, but it's not a competition. It's just teaching you how to survive, and it was cool but scary at the same time as being a kid. But the professor left in the middle of the night. The next day we wake up and we're all debating whether or not we should go out, and the boys are kind of like, well, we kind of want to climb the peaks, and the girls are like, no, we kind of want to just hang out. Let's just hang out here and kind of just party a little bit, kind of enjoy the day and enjoy the sun. And sure enough, the boys decide to leave. We're like, all right, we'll be back in like 2 hours. We go try to climb these two high peaks that were nearby. We follow the trail. We take our papers with us, our maps. And we get to this one, I forget what it was called, but it gets to the point where it's so incline, like the incline is so crazy, so steep. They have these iron like rods like embedded into the rocks. And then there's these like ropes that propel from the hooks. So you have to climb like with the backpack sideways, and you're going up.
Wow.
And guess out of nowhere, it starts pouring, but it was raining before we even got to the top, but we didn't think the top part was going to be like that. So when we get to the top, we're climbing the rocks, and then it automatically just like suddenly just changes like the status of the rocks. And we start climbing, and it was the scariest thing because I'm over here thinking, dude, if I lose my grip on this, I am done. I'm out for the count. This is not the way I imagined going out.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's a crazy downpour. We managed to get to the top, and then after that, instead of climbing the second high peak, I told the guys, like, listen, man, we got to go back because that was the scariest and most traumatic thing I've ever had happen to me. Like, I felt like I was legit staring death in the face because it was like this rubber thing. I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe it was like polyester or something, but I mean, they did a good job anchoring it into the mountain, but man, at such an angle where if you slip, you're pretty much done. I was like, I think I had enough, especially in the rain. If it was dry, it wouldn't be a problem. But I'm over here pissing my pants, thinking like, dude, I might slip. And this is, I don't know. I try not to look down. It was pretty scary. That was an interesting trip, and
yeah, man,
definitely eye-opening.
Take you from a former UFC champ to the fastest woman alive. Carmelita Jeter is a retired American sprinter specialized in the 100 meters, a 3-time Olympic medalist. Her 10.64-second victory at the Shanghai Golden Grand Prix made her the second fastest woman ever in the 100-meter, behind Florence Griffith Joyner's world record of 10.48.
The number one thing that stands out for me running 10, when I ran 10.67, it wasn't even the fact that I ran 10.67. It was the fact that my training partner, David Neville, at the time, who's now a sprint coach at Tennessee, was screaming and hollering and running down the backstretch to let me know that I ran 10.6 because I didn't know I ran 10.6.
Right. Wow.
So the number one thing I remember from that night is not that I ran 10.6, it was that my training partner was probably more happy than I was. And nowadays, it's really hard to find someone that genuinely wants to help celebrate you. So seeing him celebrate me that night, I'll never, ever forget that.
That is so cool. And of course, a memory that Carmelita will never forget. Could you imagine running 100 meters in under 11 seconds? Like blazing speed. Retired from competition, of course, now, and the head coach of track and field and cross country programs at UNLV. And when we had Carmelita on, we talked about binging Narcos, how her dad once owned a record store when she was a kid. We talked about Detroit's music scene, cooking and entertaining for your friends, the superpower that she would want to have. We talked about seeing Chris Cross, remember those guys? Chris Cross in concert, and what it's like coaching and whether she gets as much fulfillment as she did when she was a competitor.
It's different.
Yeah, of course.
It's different. It'll never be the same because as a competitor, you're the one killing. You're doing the kill.
Right.
And it tastes different. But as the coach, I feed off of my athlete killing, getting the kill.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like the hunter. You know, I'm coaching hunters to hunt. And so I'm watching my baby hunters hunt. And
That's awesome.
It's just it's very, we were at Mizzou, and Taryn wanted to win this 100 meters so bad. And she won the 100 meters. This is her first time ever winning at Mizzou. And what I loved was the kill on her face.
Yeah.
And I felt like I ran because she had this look of fulfillment, even if it was only for 30 seconds. That's the look that coaches love to see.
From a retired Olympic sprinter to one of the best to ever stack the pads, you'll know Captain Kirk McLean as a retired NHL goaltender and his stand-up style of play. 10 and a half seasons with the Vancouver Canucks. And during that time, was a finalist for 2 Vezina trophies back in 89 and 92, was named to 2 NHL All-Star games. And when Kirk stopped by the studio to hang out, shooting the shit about all sorts of things, we talked, of course, about the save, Game 7, double OT win against the Calgary Flames. And no, he doesn't get tired of talking about it.
No. You know what? Huge moment in my career, obviously. A defining moment, really. And, people remember it and remember where they were. That was kind of obviously the big kickoff to our run there. So, when the questions or the stop coming, then maybe I'll be a little bit worried, but not at all. That's part
you remember
of
that
history.
play as it's coming down.
Absolutely.
You've only got the 1D man.
Yeah, the one, it was Yerke.
And you're seeing that it's going to be...
it was actually kind of almost a 3-on-1 to start with, and then I believe it was busting his butt back. I think it was Jeff Courtnall, and I forget, maybe Martin Gellina, maybe that were busting their tails to get back. But Yerke played it perfect, especially with a guy like Theo Fleury carrying it, who's a wizard with the puck, and was especially in tight like that. And, he made a wonderful pass. I was lucky enough to anticipate it and read it. And, a move, the 2-pad slide, was something that I was taught as a kid, and that was part of the game at the
Stack
time. And stack them up. And I was, at the right time, and Robert Reichel was there, and maybe he was in a little bit too close, or the puck was a little bit, and he just couldn't get it up, but I got there in time, and then history after that.
When you think about it, you could certainly understand how he might get tired of talking about that. Everybody would want to talk to him about it, right? But no way that he was going to be a guest and not share that story with us. Of course, Kirk was on the 94 Canucks, took the team to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals against the Rangers. And honestly, what a trip to have Kirk in studio. He's probably my favorite Vancouver Canuck of all time. It's him or Trevor Linden. There's no others that eclipse those guys. And you'll love the story that he shared, since it's next to impossible to achieve, getting a standing ovation in an away arena.
There's one in particular that, minus that run. I mean, obviously, Game 1 in New York and in the finals was a big one too. But a particular moment in Montreal, where we're in the Old Forum, and we won 3-0. I got the shutout, and Craig Adams actually scored all 3 goals.
Oh, nice.
I ended up getting first star. He got second star, but I got we were outshot. I don't know, 51 to whatever. Mm-hmm. Ended up getting a standing ovation from the Montreal Forum, which was pretty cool. And that kind of, I don't want to say it brought a tear to my eye, but it choked me up a little bit. It was something that you don't expect in a visiting arena, but that's kind of a shout out to not Montreal fans but Canadian fans. They appreciate a good effort out there, and that was right up there. I always had bad luck in Montreal.
And from a retired NHL goalie to a 7-time NHRA national event winner, U.S. Nationals champion, Alexis Dejoria. Simply one of the best racers you'll ever see on a track. Started her career in 2005 and dominated immediately. 8 months after her NHRA debut, she won the Sportsman National in California. Then she raced top alcohol funny cars for a couple of years. In 2011, won her first NHRA national event, becoming the second woman to ever do so. Listen to Alexis talk about her first drag race, what stands out, and how fast she ended up going.
156 miles an hour. It was a super gas Corvette, a 1963 Corvette. And I was just, like a kid in a candy store. I didn't know which way was up, but I wanted to be there. And I hardly knew what I was doing, but I was licensed.
Yeah.
My first race was out in Arizona, and I remember going down, doing a qualifying run, and coming back in the pits and going back into the staging lanes again and being like, okay, let's do another one. And all the lanes were filled up with super comp dragsters. And I'm going, wait a second. So I don't get to just go and make another run? We parked against a really great family that had been racing in the sportsman ranks for a long time. And they kind of we leaned on them and they helped us out and, kind of gave me the rundown of how it all works. And no, you got to come back after the run. Mm-hmm. You got to refuel, cool off, and then wait for them to call you up again. I was like, oh, okay.
Can you even imagine the G-forces of being in a funny car and the crazy speeds? We're talking high 3s in a quarter mile. And Alexis was into talking about all sorts of things. Very cool. Binge watching Westworld and documentaries. We talked about the music of Michael Jackson and the Doobie Brothers. Legalized weed came up. The superpower of flight. She once flew a fighter jet. And she talked about cooking to impress friends at dinner parties and being actually pretty good at it.
I'm actually a very good cook. I don't cook a lot because just with my career, I would come home and be home for a few days at a time, and I'd be so wiped out and so exhausted and just trying to kind of, reconnect with the kids and do my laundry and then get ready for a race again. But my go-to meal, I'm really good at cooking steaks and chicken and vegetables. I use a lot of olive oil and pink Himalayan salt and lemon. I like to keep it kind of clean and basic and but enjoy the actual flavor of the product itself. So salads, I love to make salads, all sorts of stuff. I'm really good at following directions, so I could probably pick anything out of any recipe book and make it perfect.
Nice.
And that's something that I learned from my dad's side and my mother's side. They both are incredible cooks.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca. Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
When you start talking about gifted musicians, Ben Harper needs to be in that conversation. Blues, folk, soul, rock, he can do it all. 12 studio albums. He's a 3-time Grammy Award winner, twice in 2005 for Best Pop Instrumental Performance and Best Traditional Soul Gospel Album, and again in 2014 for Best Blues Album. And when Ben was a guest, he shared some of his career highlights. He has many. He talked about the music that was in his house as a kid growing up. He shared a near-death story. We talked about what it was like playing on stage with Ringo Starr. We chatted about the music industry and the changes it's gone through over the years, how we could potentially be losing the album in favor of the EP. He talked about seeing Bob Marley in concert as a kid, and Ben shared how music still moves him today as much as ever in his life. Listen to this.
Oh, does it ever? Even more so. That I will say that's one aspect of this band that maybe because they're just each individual virtuosos and the collective, just it clicks. There's something about this grouping, because you could put 6 of the best musicians in a room for a day and you won't get one good song. You know, so there is a dynamic with this band that really does work, and it's still revealing itself through this band as being as exciting, if not more so, than the first time I picked up an instrument.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
Memory is kind of faded of a time when you were near. Looking back, I never hated the fact that you were never there. I heard that after you up and left us, you drowned your sorry soul. No, I can't blame you for leaving. You said we're better off without you after all. But now you're gone, gone forever, never to return. Yeah, you're off to meet your maker. I hope he greets you with open arms. We greet you with open arms. 20 years and we've both grown old. There's still no man I couldn't recognize. I heard the sound of his familiar voice, then I knew the man behind those broken eyes. He said, son, you've made me proud. I dream to see the man that you've become. We shared a moment over cigarettes and booze, and wished that we could be forever young. Well, now you're gone, gone forever, never to return. Yeah, you're off to meet your maker. I hope he greets you with open arms. Yeah, you're gone, gone forever, never to return. Yeah, you're off to meet your maker. I hope he greets you with open arms. I hope he greets you with open arms. I hope he greets you with open arms.
Super, super talented. His name is Christopher James, and that's a new song for him. If you hadn't picked it up, it's called Open Arms. Catch Chris open the night for Joan Bessie next month. We're doing something on Friday, May 3rd at the Blue Light Studio in beautiful East Vancouver. Joan did a show with us last year, and it was so good that we had to do another one, and we talked to Christopher about doing a show with us a while back and came this close to dialing that in, but I can't remember what it was. Something fell through. So here we are. Going to be a great night. Both performers are buddies of the podcast. Both are outstanding musicians. And again, through eventbrite.ca, Brite, eventbrite.ca, search Toddcast Podcast. You can't miss the shows. $20, only $20 in advance through that website. $25 if you want to gamble, roll the dice, and hope for tickets at the door. All right, played you a relatively new song for Summer's brother called Misinformation, and no doubt you will see that one live at our next Blue Light sessions at Blue Light Studio. So it's at the end of this month on Friday, April 26th. Cat Madden, Summer's brother, really looking forward to this night as well. Fan of both bands. Great if you could make it out to one of these shows that we've got booked. Speaking of live music, find a small list of shows that are happening locally in Vancouver and the area with the indie scene at toddhancock.ca. In fact, if you're playing a show, if you're going to it, if it's indie, let me know about it. I will get it up at the website. We're getting thousands of visits daily. Get some free advertising for the show. Why not? Maybe even play a song for you as well. But of course, that would mean you would need to get me the music of your band. Just saying. Okay, so let's get to the final guests of this episode 329 and go over the years with this week's entertainment and lifestyle guests. It's now powered by Humane Solutions. I had an issue with rats in my yard and getting into the crawl space of my house. So I used a company and they struck out completely. So I had a buddy use Humane Solutions, and he's like, dude, you got to use these guys. They came and they literally cleared things up in a day. Like, I think it was 22 hours if you want to get specific. They find the entry points. They block all of them but one. Brilliant, right? Then they install a one-way door so the rats can leave your house, but they can't get back in. I mean, total lifesavers. I told them that I would highlight their amazing service to friends and followers and know that there are options out there, like businesses that actually care and do the right thing. Wholeheartedly, I recommend Humane Solutions for any rodent-related issues at your house. You can get an estimate today through humanesolutions.ca. The chances are you'll know actor Kim Coates. Why that is depends, I think, because maybe it's Tiggs in Sons of Anarchy, Declan in Bad Blood. Maybe it's from recurring roles in Prison Break or Cold Case, CSI Miami. Maybe it's the big screen. He was in Goon, Officer Down, The Last Boy Scout. Started acting on the stage, portraying Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire, and he was the youngest ever to play the title role of Macbeth at the Stratford Festival here in Canada. So, of course, we had to ask him, talk about the main differences between stage and screen acting.
The obvious thing is this, that for me, being an internal actor, I act from the inside out, and to create a character and figure out who he is, I like to wear the clothes, I like to get the accent down, do I gain weight, lose weight, read the books, do the research, study people, their mechanisms, their mannerisms, and it changes me, and yet you have to bring some of, as De Niro always says, some of yourself to every part you play, and I believe that. But stage, the great thing about stage is you start at the beginning and you go to the end. It's a one big rainbow from the beginning to the end. Obviously, when I was at Stratford, you're playing in front of anywhere from 500 to 2,000 people a night, depending on how, like when we toured Macbeth, I was the youngest Macbeth ever. I was 26, turning 27 at the time. And, when I played him at Stratford, we had 650 seats. It was an incredible space to play it in. And then when we toured it all over northern America, northeastern America, there was houses of up to 2,000. So you have to project. You have to make sure that everybody hears you and understands what you're saying, right? Mm-hmm. For film, if you see acting on film, you're done, because film doesn't hide anything. And so once you start to act, you're finished. You're done. That's why there's great actors and then there's just actors, right? Because the great actors, you don't see the acting. You just believe everything that they're doing somehow. And that's the biggest difference. And also continuity, right? Like I'm doing a big project right now. And my first day on set was my third to last scene of the entire epic miniseries I'm doing. So I needed to bring where I came from, what I feel, what's happening to that shot a couple of days ago. So continuity issues, you really have to know, where you came from, where you're going, because you never, ever shoot a movie or TV show from the beginning to the end.
And it's pretty interesting to hear Kim talking about the differences of stage and screen, right? We talked about how he was once starstruck while on set with Bruce Willis. We talked about Slipknot, comic books, growing up in the 70s, Superpowers came up, and how Hellboy with Ron Perlman could be the best superhero movie ever made.
Of all time. And Guillermo del Toro to have the smarts to hire Ron Perlman to play Hellboy. When I saw it for the first time, I smoking the cigar. I mean, and Perlman's like that. He's got the biggest, driest sense of humor than anyone I know. I think he's beyond hysterical, and yet he takes his craft seriously, and I miss him like anything. But yeah, Hellboy, man, Suicide Squad. I haven't seen the movie yet. Deadpool was phenomenal, and I'll tell you why. For me, I can't keep up anymore, Todd. I can't keep up to what Marvel and everyone's doing, and who's crossing over, and who's fighting who, and Batman's now against Superman. I can't keep up, and I don't want to keep up. And I love the kids who can. Not me. It's not for me. But Deadpool did something to me. You know what it was? It was called putting an R in front of it.
From a well-known Canadian actor to someone you'll know from hosting on ET Canada and HGTV, Sangita Patel has a university degree in electrical engineering and yet somehow ended up working in broadcasting, starting off as a presenter on the Weather Network and ultimately ended up at ET Canada. It's a job that was originally supposed to only be 6 months.
I was actually just supposed to be here for 6 months, covering for Cheryl Hickey while she was on mat leave.
Okay.
But they kept me. And
nice.
And so and then I wanted to explore more, and I became the host of Home to Win, which is such a spectacular show. It was a great fit.
Don't just brush past the whole, I got to ET Canada. How did you get there? Like, what were the steps for you to get to, it's one of the prestigious, hosting jobs in the country.
It's so interesting that how it all happened. I found out that she was going on mat leave, and I thought, you know what? Let me email the boss at ET Canada, see if they're looking for someone to fill in for 6 months. And I was ready to make a change. I have this thing that I have every 3 years, I have an itch of trying something new and different. It was a big risk, taking a job in leaving City TV where things were just, I had an establishment there. But it was for 6 months, and I'm like, it's Entertainment Tonight Canada. It can't get bigger than that in entertainment. And I think I came into the audition where I didn't get the script in time. It was in my junk mail, and I got here, and I'm like, okay, I'm screwed. Whatever, let's just do this. And I did the audition with a lot of just being happy and not having that pressure on me. And things worked out, and I think that was a blessing on my side. But the one thing I always keep is be as organic as possible, and I think that kind of really sold it.
Funny how that works, hey? A 6-month job ends up being, it's a decades-long job at this point. In 2014, Sangita was named one of Hello Magazine Canada's 50 most beautiful people. She does a great job of hosting HGTV's Home to Win, and super fun to get into her life as well. The shows that she binge watches. We talked about music, vacations, family, and she shared her first concert story as well.
My first concert was at Wonderland in Canada, in Toronto.
Okay.
It was Debbie Gibson. I was out of the blue with her, and I remember losing my shoes, but it was the best concert ever. Row 7. And I forgot who opened for her, but it was a great concert. Nothing could top that. And then recently, my daughter, who's a huge Adele fan, was her first concert, and it blew my mind to see her sing every single song, and how she was able to just absorb everything Adele was doing was just incredible. So that's the next big one that I really love.
Talk about setting the bar, like...
I know.
Her interacting with the crowd and everything, she is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and it's just her. It's just her on stage, and she could do that.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Take you from an HGTV and ET Canada host to alum of the Real Housewives of Dallas. So Cary Deuber is no longer a cast member, but you do see her as a friend on the show from time to time. And when we talked, she was working on another show that revolves around the Lemon Avenue Plastic Surgery and Laser Center in Dallas. And she talked about the best and the worst things about being on a reality TV show like Real Housewives.
Oh, gosh. The best thing is that I've learned a lot about myself. I think I've learned my strengths and my weaknesses have evolved and changed, and I've learned a lot about who I am as a person, and I've grown a lot from the process. I think the worst part for me was just I don't like to fight. I'm just not I'm very opinionated, but I don't, having conflict with people gives me anxiety, and I think that was a little hard on me.
Yeah, just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you're...
Yeah. I like to have an opinion, and I like to voice my opinion, and, I'm very willing to hear other people's opinions, and I think that it's important to hear other people's opinions and not necessarily fight about it. I think it's important to listen to other people and also listen to what their perspective is about you, and hear that and be like, what, maybe I do need to change something, or maybe I do need to grow from it. So conflict can be a good thing. Mm-hmm. I just, when it gets just like screaming, yelling, then I'm like, I'm out,
Yeah. Like most people.
It's just, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you got to imagine it's a freaking roller coaster being on a reality TV show like that, thinking, I'll never get used to the cameras. Then you do get used to them to the point where you let fly and your mouth kind of gets you in trouble. Like, I'm not honestly sure that I would want to be on a show like that. Maybe when I was younger, but I think the drama now would just kind of drain me. Cary went to Baylor University, has a bachelor's in the science of nursing, and talked about a lot of stuff with her. Talked about aliens visiting Earth. Kate Hudson came up. Binging Game of Thrones. We talked about seeing New Kids on the Block in concert. Shared her thoughts on legalized marijuana. We talked about comic books and superpowers. She shared a near-death story involving Lake Erie and said that she grew up being a musical theater nerd.
I grew up being a musical theater nerd. I was like a jazz choir.
Oh, cool. Right on.
So, yeah, I was a total dork in high school, jazz choir nerd.
Yes.
But the last show I saw, of course, on Broadway was Frozen, because, my little girl had to see Frozen on Broadway.
How was
and
that?
It was great.
It had to be
amazing. It was great. Oh, my gosh. And it was great even for, adults. It was fantastic. It was very entertaining, very well done. And she was just over the moon, which is just amazing.
I bet, yeah. I went to one here in Vancouver, the QE Theater, I think, or the Orpheum Theater. Really nice, small, like maybe 2,000-3,000 people kind of thing. And it was the Grease play that and it was amazing. They had like the front row, like the pit was like all actual, it's like a full band, and they had cars and shit come up on stage, and it was so good. And for me, like, I'm a guy's guy. I like covered in tattoos. Yeah. I worked 15 years at the rock station here in the city, and
I love it.
If you had a thought like, there's no way Todd's going to that. Oh, dude, not only did I go to that, I had such a good time that I will now go to pretty much anything if I hear that it's really well done now.
Right. Yeah. And Grease is like, it's just a classic. The music's amazing. And I feel like guys can get into that and like relate to that.
100%. Yeah. And from a Real Housewives alum to one of Canada's most beloved comedy troupes, the Trailer Park Boys. So how did this show, a mockumentary, become such a cult-like phenomenon? Trailer Park residents living in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, a show that was so binge-worthy, it's not funny. So what were they, Bubbles, Ricky, Julian, what were they binge-watching when they were guests?
I just finished watching Vikings, Ragnar Lothbrok.
Great show.
Up, man? Fantastic. He didn't give a fuck.
I have to check that one out, man.
Yeah, Vikings is so good.
I like the horse show, BoJack. I was watching some of that.
BoJack Horseman, the horse, the funny horse.
Yeah, he's pretty hardcore. He likes to get her going. I like that.
Oh, he lights shit up, that guy.
Oh, man, does he ever banging broads and get wasted?
BoJack Horseman, the horse, he bangs.
Man. Yeah.
Does he bang female horses or he bangs ladies?
Whatever comes at him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You know what they call him back home? Old horsecock.
As you would expect, fairly tough to keep those cats kind of wrangled and focused on the interview at hand. Of course, you see the Trailer Park Boys everywhere. The series, the movies, the specials, the animated series. And great to get the boys talking about Canada, the tragically hip. We talked about legalized marijuana, the power of social media. They picked their superpowers that they'd want to have, and they also shared their first concert stories, too.
I don't know if I wanted to admit this one, because I snuck in. I was going because there was lots of chicks going, but... What was it, man? It was Loverboy.
Loverboy. I had Mike Reno on a couple of months back. Great guy. Great stories. Holy crap.
12 or 13 years old, the girl that was in my class I was going, and I wanted to... I can't remember what my first one was. It was either... I think it might have been Triumph. That was awesome. Yeah, that was a good concert. I saw Tom Cochran. That was good. Snuck in. 17.
I went to that Triumph concert with you, Ricky.
That was fucking badass.
We were super banged up, and we didn't know what lasers were until they turned on.
Def Leppard, more lasers. That was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't like Def Leppard, but I liked Triumph. My first actual concert, if you want to consider a concert, was a local guy playing at the Legion named Dickie Tits. He was fantastic. That would have been my first real concert. But that was just at the Legion. That was just one fella.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was a concert, man. The Legion, Bubs, come on. He was pretty good, but man, he looked weird.
Yeah, old Dickie Tits.
What's up with his name, Dickie Tits? That's not his real name, is it?
That was his real name on his birth certificate.
Richard? Or was it Dickie?
Well, he was German. It was T-I-T-Z, and it was Richard Teets.
Red Truck Beer. Nothing delivers like a red truck. Official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
You left me at dawn, dear. You told me to wait. You held all the cards, dear. The minute you played, now I weigh your t-shirt. To do my dirty work. And I weigh your t-shirt. To do my dirty work. And all of my lines, you crossed them 1,000 times. So just hold me closer before you go. The dog of my body will carry you home. And I wear your t-shirt to do my dirty work. And I wear your t-shirt to do my dirty work. And all of my lines, you crossed them 1,000 times. But I wear your t-shirt to do my dirty work. I wear your t-shirt you left behind. You left and you left and you left behind. You left behind. You left behind. And you left behind. You left behind. You left behind.
T-shirt, dirty dirty work. That's Joan Bessie, and I love her vibe. She was, as mentioned, so good at her podcast live show last year. She brought her daughter along with her. I think she was like 13 years old or something like that. You know when something's so good, you kind of get a little ball in your throat? And I'm watching Joan and her daughter singing together, and they did that to me. If you were in that room, there was just no way you didn't feel the exact same way. And Joan had such a good time at last year's show back, I think it was in April, that she texted me saying like, hey, do you want to do a show a year later, the kind of the first anniversary of her album, of the show? And of course, we're into that. So it's a month from now on Friday, May 3rd at Blue Light Studio in East Vancouver. Joan Bessie, Christopher James, both, as mentioned, will have a 45-minute set to wow you, to woo you. Intimate performances. I believe Chris it's just him. I think it's just him and an acoustic guitar. There's something to be said about those kind of nights as well, right? I interview both performers for the first maybe 15, 20 minutes of the sets. You can ask questions as well. You can suggest songs to play. I mean, you could even get up and play something with them. Like, hey, we've had that happen in the past. And for only $20, you can't beat it. Again, through eventbrite.ca, eventbrite.ca, $25 at the door. Again, doors are at 7, shows at 8-ish. That will go till around 10, 15, 10:30 or something like that. Hope to see you there. As we'll put a little bow on this one, episode 329, going over the years, highlights of guests in music, sports, entertainment, lifestyles, lots of laughs, lots of great stories, some scary stories as well. Got into aliens a little bit this week, first concerts, talked about some super engaging points of conversation. And if you're interested in alien visitation, by the way, P.S., you will love our next podcast. You'll hear from 12 guests. Now, he's not on the next podcast, but check out what retired Stanley Cup winning defenseman Brent Sopel had to say about the chances that aliens have visited Earth.
No, that is not even up for discussion. Who's somebody talking about that the other day? I'm like, absolutely not. No,
get a lot of different opinions, man. I'll tell you.
Well, here in the States, we've got 335 million people, so we got a lot of opinions. But you can't make everybody happy. I live by myself, and I still can't make myself happy.
So yeah, kind of getting the feeling that Brent Sopel is not a believer. He does not believe that aliens have visited, or in fact, maybe even live among us. Have you seen a UFO? 12 guests will weigh in next week talking alien visitation. Again, my name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening, for checking us out. If you're a longtime listener, we have those. We're into our 10th year of podcasting. Thank you so much for coming back week in, week out. That's huge for our world, of course, right? Please tell your friends about what we're doing. That makes sense. Word of mouth is a big way in which we grow. And thank you so much for doing that, sharing and commenting, liking our stuff online. We are part of the Realm.fm network, Realm.fm. If you want to check out other podcasts, they've got so many amazing podcasts there. You can subscribe on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, SoundCloud, Spotify. Watch all of our interviews, all of the live show videos that we create at our YouTube channel. Comment and rate, of course. That helps out everything. Search it out through what else? Toddcast Podcast. Huge thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. Some have supported since the beginning. We're looking at you, Red Truck. Couldn't imagine doing this podcast without having them around. The official beer since 2015. 8-year sponsor, Tedco RV Supplies. Talk about unwavering support. To our latest, Humane Solutions. Use them to rid my yard and house of rats. Literally took them a day to dial everything up. They may have been wearing superhero capes when they came into my yard. You can find links to all sponsor websites on toddhancock.ca. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast with your business, you can for as little as $10 a day. Contact info is at the homepage. And as always, help us find a sponsor and we will give you a commission. Not even kidding, even though Angela on Instagram doesn't believe me. She's like, I don't think you'd pay up. All I got to say is, try me. Till next time, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast Podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
At ZocDoc, we know being a healthy adult is like living in a video game. Every day has side quests, taxes, laundry, birthdays. And just when you're leveling up, you have to book a doctor. The insurance portal crashes. They put you on hold. Your doctor doesn't take your plan. Game over. We see you, so we made booking a doctor easy. Download ZocDoc. Search by specialty, insurance, and availability. Book instantly. No cheat codes required. Find a doctor you love with ZocDoc.
Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on the scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Hi, listeners. We want to tell you about a podcast we love. It's called Rebel Girls, formerly known as Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. It's about real-life women who are changing the world with their courage, creativity, and big, bold ideas. Want to know how Taylor Swift became a superstar? Or hear how Simone Biles became the greatest athlete of all time? From immersive stories to heartfelt interviews to super smart advice, Rebel Girls brings you stories that will get you fired up to become your best self. There are over 400 episodes for you to explore, with new episodes every week. So check it out. Listen to Rebel Girls wherever you get your podcasts. And find us on youtube.com/rebelgirls. And whatever you do, stay rebel.